Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and as news emerges of Shell's obscene profits, the pressure is piling on the government to apply the windfall tax that opposition MPs have been calling for in order to reduce the ridiculous rise in the cost of living being inflicted on us. So will Johnson finally relent, and why is he being so stubborn about it? But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. Right, so we're gonna have a day without election talk. I haven't finished, by the way. I've got more to say, but I think I'm going to portion it out over the rest of next week. What I've got to say now can probably wait. For now, there are fundamental domestic issues to discuss as well. The cost of essentials is going through the roof. I've been tracking some grocery prices this year. I regret not doing it last year. I've done it this, and last month saw a significant increase in the number of items that I've been tracking going up in price. Most of them are now more expensive than they were at the start of the year. Some of them quite a lot more. But it's not just food. Energy and fuel have gone up as well. So have our taxes. And the government have refused to shield those on the tightest budgets from the impacts of this. If they shared the load so that people like myself and those much wealthier paid a bit more, then we could still live our lives as we are doing, but we would prevent millions of people having to do without essentials. We heard the story the other day, last week, of an old age pensioner having to ride the bus all day to keep warm because she can't afford to heat a house. Consider that the poorest in our society tend to be more likely to have prepay meters as well, which is the most expensive way of paying for energy. And it's so often the case. The poorest already pay more for goods and services than those who can more easily afford it. Even down to the fact they may not be able to afford to go out to the big supermarkets. They are building more big supermarkets in amongst residential areas now. But in quite a lot of areas, the big supermarkets are way out. You've got to be able to get the bus or a car or something. The people can't afford it, so they go down to the local shop. But then they're paying more. So over time you're paying more. And now the prices have been ramped up for them again. But it's the global pressures, claim the government. Can't be helped. Oh, yes. So why are the corporations that are jacking up their prices still making record profits? The latest news is Shell profits up to £7.3 billion this last quarter. Now, that is a 44% increase in profits compared to the previous quarter. Let's just say that again. Shell has made 44% more profit in the first quarter of this year as compared to the last quarter of last year. And they've still raised their prices. It's one thing for a business to be forced to increase costs in order to maintain a profit margin. We can understand that. We can see this around the country. We can see it particularly with Brexit. Companies that are struggling to hire staff, for example, have to pay more. So they're having to put up their prices. That you understand. Staffing increases, their own extra costs. Businesses, they're having to pay higher energy costs, for example. If you're a haulage company, you may not just be able to having to pay higher wages for the dwindling number of drivers, but higher diesel costs. So there might be tricky market conditions that make a business do that. But you do that to make your business still profitable, to keep it afloat, to make sure it can still keep going. You understand that a business has to make money, and that sometimes means putting prices up. It inevitably will do. But when a company is not struggling with its profit margin, when that profit margin is actually increasing and they still put the prices up, when they do all this despite knowing that it will be plunging many people into poverty, millions in this country alone, or deeper poverty if they were already there, that is when the government need to act. Because we know that capitalism doesn't regulate itself. The CEO of a company is appointed to make shareholders as much money as possible. There's no point in going to these CEOs and going, have a heart, mate. Their job relies upon them making money for the shareholders. So profit is their top priority. It's how the system works. Their job depends upon it being able to generate more profit than an alternative for their job. So we take the decision making out of the hands of the executive of the corporation, and the government regulate and tax them. Various political parties have called for a windfall tax on these companies in order to keep the cost of living down for ordinary people. 44% increase in profits at the same time as people are facing unaffordable bills means that it is amply justified. But the government are still refusing. Now, they may be forced to change their mind and U-turn, but the current position is that they refuse. Why? I mean, I know the simple reason why. The Conservatives want donations from energy companies, and in return, the energy companies want tax breaks. A journalist told Boris Johnson that the boss of BP, another oil company, had said that a windfall tax wouldn't dissuade them from investing in the UK, because that's another argument. If we tax these corporations, they'll take their business elsewhere and we'll lose out on the jobs. It's bollocks, of course. They will do business wherever they can make a profit. If they moved just because they were making less profit, they'd be putting themselves in a situation where they'd be saying they'd rather make no profit than some profit. Sort of business leader chooses no profit over less profit. But anyway, they asked Boris Johnson if that doesn't blow a hole in his argument about windfall taxation. The Prime Minister, and I kid you not, said that the energy companies don't want a windfall tax. I kid you not. They don't want a windfall tax? What? I mean, who does? It's not a matter of what they want, it's a matter of what we need. Who gives a shit what the energy companies want? Boris Johnson is supposed to be batting for us, not them. What we don't want is people starving or freezing in their homes, riding a bus all day because they can't make their own home comfortable. I mean, under ordinary circumstances, we wouldn't be surprised that the Conservatives are not taxing energy companies. This is their philosophy. It's what they do. They call it free market economics. But of course, it's nothing of the sort. It's protect the people at the top of the pyramid, keep the plebs under our heel. But this is a big issue. Giving tax breaks to large corporations doesn't piss people off if they're basically managing. After all, not many people are telling them that they'd do rather better if everyone paid their fair share. Never mind Brexit. If ordinary people wanted to stop being screwed over and knew what was actually doing it, they wouldn't have voted to leave the EU. They'd have voted to leave the Conservatives on the opposition benches, or preferably outside of Parliament altogether. But people aren't managing. Some people are facing energy bills 2, 3, even 4 times higher now. Guess what we've just been told? The bills may go up by 40% again later this year. And this is on top of more tax. So lower take-home pay, higher food prices, and they're still going up the rest of this year, higher fuel costs. People are being badly hurt, and they will not enjoy hearing about energy companies making higher profits while they have to choose between essentials. They will also not enjoy hearing the government refusing to do the obvious thing to deal with it. Shouldn't even a Conservative government on this occasion realise the way the political wind is blowing and issue a one-off windfall tax and then use the money raised to reduce people's bills? It seems a strategic madness that they are not. After all, their general donations should still be safe. The oil companies would still rather get the Conservatives in government than Labour. They'd rather take the hit on the windfall tax, understanding that the government are cornered here, and still donate to them, because at the end of the day, do they really want Labour in? It does make me wonder if this is not actually Steve Baker and the Net Zero group at work again. The government is under massive pressure to do something. Boris Johnson's position is under genuine threat. Johnson himself is not tied to any policy other than Boris Johnson being Prime Minister. That's his one policy. Should be a no-brainer that he relents and issues this windfall tax. But does he have Baker and his group dangling the sword of Damocles above his head? Recent reports suggest that Baker's group have received $500,000 from funds linked to the Koch brothers. Same people who fund a range of campaigns that work against the interests of ordinary people around the world. Now, if you consider a Venn diagram with things like, Brexit, climate scepticism, anti-vaxxing, any taxation on corporate profits, publicly funded services, where they cross over, you have the Koch brothers. The article cited Ed Miliband, Labour's shadow energy minister, saying that US right-wing groups with links to oil companies are trying to extend their reach into UK politics. And Steve Baker's Net Zero Watch is the best placed group to influence UK politics for them right now. a large group of Tory MPs breathing down a lame duck Prime Minister's neck. And when Johnson is replaced, they will make sure that his successor knows that they will stop at nothing to push their agenda, because they're not really Conservative MPs. Usually, to silence Conservative MPs, you just talk about you're damaging the party. Shut up, you're causing damage here, getting in line. That doesn't work on them, because they're not Conservative MPs. They will never consider what's best for either the country or the party. They are infiltrators who will burn everything if they can't get what they want. Maybe Johnson's reluctance to impose a windfall tax, which will be very popular just at a time when he needs popularity, has less to do with being a blithering idiot and more to do with the shadowy influence of those shilling for big oil. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button, maybe even click on the join button if you'd be interested in membership. And until next time, I'll see you later.